Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. And we are in the Nordic countries. We have some of the best abortion laws in the world and the best access to abortion. But what we still haven't got is the moral right to abortion. We are still pressured and put under moral blaming and guilting for having an abortion. And that's what I'm going to address. The female body is unique. It is essential for producing new human beings. And this is necessary to every society, and for that reason, women are under pressure for control by men and society. How, when, and who should be able to carry a pregnancy to term or have the right to terminate it? Are women really to be trusted to control this themselves? Norway got its first law on abortion in 1978, and I belong to one of the first generations to grow up thinking and feeling that abortion on request is an unquestionable right. We don't feel that it is a right that is threatened, something that might disappear, but it's not something you tell anybody. It still has its stigmas. And as an abortion doctor, I am a gynecologist, and in Norway we perform all abortions. I have never been harassed for performing abortions. Neither have I ever seen an anti-abortion demonstration in Norway. I've seen some photos of a couple of men with big beards. They used to roam the country 15 to 20 years back with plastic dolls and crosses, but they never had a general support. I thought of them as anachronistic clowns with no appeal to anybody and not as a threat. That's why when I was at the March for Women's Lives in Washington in 2004 and saw the anti-abortion activists, I only saw them as a hilarious freak show. I just didn't take them seriously, in all my naivety. It was not until I was in Buenos Aires and went to a meeting with Women on Waves, the abortion boat from the Netherlands, that I understood what kind of threat these anti-abortionists really are. I thought I was just going to a peaceful meeting, my naivety again. There was armed police and a ring of civil police protecting the door. People were shouting, "Asesina!" murderer, pushing and kicking, and one politician ended up in hospital. And for the first time in my life, I have felt threatened that if I raised my hand and said, "I perform abortions," somebody would attack me physically. And that's when I lost my wonderful Scandinavian naivety. Though the right to abortion on request is not threatened as such in Norway, there are constant attacks to the abortion law. And in the last couple of years, we've had an enormous debate on the right to conscientious objection for general practitioners. This led to a massive public movement in defense of women's rights, and never had we seen that many women marching on the International Women's Day, March 8, as this year. We believe that it was the feeling of the law slipping through our fingers and our established rights being threatened that made so many people angry. People were defending the right to a blame-free abortion for abortions on request up to 12 weeks gestation. Just to let you know, people won against the Minister of Health, who withdrew his proposition in May 2014. What surprised me, though I guess I shouldn't have been surprised, was that people who demonstrated against conscientious objection didn't seem that willing or able to project the opinion and belief they had of a blame-free abortion as a woman's choice onto other questions concerning women's reproductive rights. On a Facebook group for women's issues, where all the women were angry about conscientious objection, we had a discussion on fetal reduction. That's when women are pregnant with more than one fetus and only want one child. The reason for wanting to reduce the number of fetuses to just one can be just as diverse as for not wanting a child at all. People were very eager to have an opinion on other women's and their reasons, and thinking that they were not good enough when it came to fetal reduction. And they wanted to deny them the right and control their right. And they used their own experiences as a norm and the reason for denying other women the option of fetal reduction. As one woman said, I have twins and could never have killed one of them. But no one has asked her to use fetal reduction. She wanted both twins. It was a wanted pregnancy, also as a multiple one. Another one said, no one should have to choose between the two. You could end up resenting your choice. Well, you can always later on resent your choices, if you have an abortion or if you do fetal reduction. But shouldn't that be up to the woman herself to take into account and decide? We should deny her the right because she might resent it? How patronizing isn't that? And another woman said, if she decided she wanted to become pregnant, she should know that the outcome might be twins and should take what she gets. Well, pardon me, this is like the argument used against abortion as such. If you have sex, you should know you could be pregnant and should be prepared to have a child. For your physical or mental health, economy, life situation, etc., it could be a huge difference having one or more children. It could be so important that if you had to choose between 2, 3, etc., and none, instead of being able to reduce it to one, you would have to choose none. Your life is yours, and you cannot know about other women's lives and their choices based on your own experiences. You have to trust that other women are just as morally competent as yourself to make a choice in their lives. And then you have the sex selection, for instance. Of course, we do not want sex selection, but that is a responsibility of the society and not each individual. If a woman knows that she will be abused and puts her life to risk if she gives birth to a girl instead of a boy, she should have the right to protect herself through having an abortion. Or do you think she should face the risk of being killed for society to prove their politics? The anti-abortion groups always tries to define protection of the fetus as ethically superior to being pro-choice. And in Norway, the doctors who wanted to use a conscientious objection against referring women for an abortion were called doctors with a conscience. But pardon me, I also have a conscience. And my conscience goes towards the woman and her needs and rights. My conscience is not of lesser moral. The anti-abortion movement have managed to gain the definition of a higher moral in defending the innocent fetus. And pro-choice activists are buying their arguments. We keep on saying that nobody wants abortions. We should try and reduce the number of abortions. Nobody likes performing abortions, etc. Well, when I do abortions, I feel happy that I have helped yet another woman and that women are so lucky in Norway that they can have a choice. That is my focus. And just for your information, if we manage to prevent every unplanned pregnancy, in Norway that would be about 40%, a lot less people will be born, since only about 1 out of 3 unplanned pregnancies are unwanted. A society that wants to reproduce itself needs to accept a certain level of abortions to do so. But the bottom line is that you cannot force somebody to use his or her body for saving somebody else. At least that is what we are told in any other situation. You can't even force somebody to give blood for the sake of saving somebody else. It is only women who are forced to do this for the sake of the fetus, putting their own lives at risk in some cases. We need to have trust in women's ability to make the best choices for themselves and to believe that being pro-choice is just as morally right as preventing abortion. The right to abortion, it's not just the lesser of two evils. It is the right to control your own life and body. And until women have a full and blame-free right to control what is in her body, she is not fully free and equal to men.